yeah, this side. Hi. This is Rise of the Tomb Raider. I am luckily not alone. I have two other runners of another game that is way better than this, but let's not talk about that. Robbie?
Yeah, I'm Robbie. I play 2013. Not as good
Hey,
as Cadarev.
I'm Kata. I played all the Tomb Raider games except for this one, so I'm qualified to be here, yes.
Very good. And yeah, let's just dive right into it. As always, we play on normal difficulty, because on easy there is auto-aim that is actually not helpful, so we play on normal. And we start the timer once I skip the cutscene where you see a climbing axe slam into a wall. Don't question it. So that should be around in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so this is actually the only Tomb Raider where we don't have to watch an introduction cutscene. In 2013 we circumvented that by starting after like the 2 minutes intro cutscene. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider we start 15 minutes into the run, because the longer the series went on, the less cutscene you could skip, so that's good. But yeah, so here, as is kind of common for the reboot Tomb Raider games, we immediately go out of bounds as soon as we gain control of Lara. I mean, I have control, but all I'm doing is basically holding forward. But soon enough I will slide down this somewhat dangerous slope here on the right, as you might already be able to tell. And then I will quit out and try to do some shenanigans.
Yeah, basically when you quit out the game and then reload back in, you have a couple frames where you can do an input. And
so the issue is, on every PC this takes a different amount of time, so I might not get this. Yeah, this was way too early, okay. Yeah, so I look at the loading circles in the on the right side there, and on the practice PC it was like 3 full turns, it was like 2.5 it looked like, so let's see. Okay, now it's taking longer again. Yeah, this is a bit finicky.
Yeah, it's all hardware dependent. These load times are normally cut out of the times on the leaderboards, but the setups will be determined by them.
that was way longer.
Yeah, it's fine. This is definitely worth it, and I will definitely not fail this, so it's okay.
Well, it looks
Once I
so
get it.
cool.
Yeah. It's okay.
This time for sure.
So what's the input that we're doing here?
So
actually?
we have rolling bound to mouse wheel down, and I'm basically waiting for the exact moment where we go out of the loading screen and into the main game. That was closer, but not quite it. And yeah, so by rolling, we actually should be able to get an airwalk out of it. Should. Hey.
Oh, there we go.
I heard that. Yeah, so this is just a start. We actually will not get a checkpoint until the very end of this rather long intro skip. And as you can see, we're taking a very scenic route here. So by using the grappling or the climbing axis, we can actually kind of preserve our momentum, or actually not preserve our momentum, like stay on these not very climbable slopes. I want to go inside here, please. Or am I already on the wrong side? No, okay. So I want to hit a checkpoint. Okay, I did hit the checkpoint. Okay, so yeah, I needed to kind of do a very finicky jump there to hit the checkpoint mid-air, but not go too far to the left, or otherwise I would be on this wrong side of an invisible wall. So now the next part of the level should be loaded, unless it's that one specific PC in the practice room where just nothing loaded. But I have full trust in this setup. Yeah, it's okay. That took way longer than it should have to load, so I was a bit panicking. But yeah, we just go up here. This is still very not safe, by the way. So, but we're getting to the end of this segment. Should just get to this platform, and then we want to turn around mid-air and hit this, and maybe the game crashes, and it doesn't. Okay. So that was the intro out of bounds. And what we were supposed to do there, maybe you remember at the start we were walking behind Jonah, who's our companion. And it's basically just one long tutorial where you learn how to shimmy along ledges and climb and stuff like that. I mean, we did climb, but not quite in the way we were supposed to. And in that cutscene, some not so good things happen. So now we're kind of dangling here around. And if you do this somewhat correctly, you can reach this wall in 2 swings, as I did right now. And now we need 2 more swings to finally make it all the way over. And then it's just a small, small rest of the intro until we're finally out of this snowy place. So we're in Siberia right now. On the tracks of the notes we found in our father's logbook about his research into some ancient stuff. And yeah, seems like we have some running to do. There's not too much to say really, like there's just some basic platforming and also some very interesting camera. Lara's on the top left corner of the screen.
Yeah, this is
Too fast.
Yeah. So here there is a deep snow, but obviously this slows me down quite a lot, so I want to jump as far into it as possible. As you can see, like once I'm in the deep snow, she moves forwards very slowly. So with that we can cut out a bit of time of that. And yeah, so now it's just a zip line. There will be a slope I'm sliding down. You're supposed to use your grappling axe to like try and attach yourself to it, but I will actually just not do that because that should allow me to instantly grapple to this wall. And now we just jump to the end of the level, and that would be the intro in Siberia done. And then there will be a change of scenery, but that's not until a few cutscenes later. So we can actually go for a donation.
Fresh Riggy donated $10. Is this Okami? Caddy, good luck on the run, my favorite travel buddy.
Thank you, Rigi. Yeah, Swiss memes, don't question them. It makes sense to like 3 people at ESA. Yeah, so out of Siberia we now go into Syria, basically the same place except not. But now we basically just have 5 minutes or so of holding W and some lore dumps, basically. So you see the walkie-talkie already. In somewhat regular intervals, Lara will like listen to the walkie-talkie because she has a recording of her father's research there and trying to follow his footsteps stuff. And yeah, you will see some very small climbing segments. You maybe can already tell that one is up there with these very unsuspicious ledges that merge very well with the background. But yeah, Syria is kind of one of the issues in the if you try to really grind this game. It's kind of the game starts off very fast-paced and technical with that intro out of bounds, and then it comes to a grinding halt in Syria most of the time. Like there is actually some cool skips later on in Syria, but it's the start kind of makes it not very enjoyable. So we're just gonna make our way forwards. But yeah, so one of the skips that is coming up here will involve some clipping, which is like one of the main things we will do in this run. And for clipping, it's kind of a common theme in the reboot trilogy, which is Tomb Raider 2013, Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, is that you use your weapons and aiming with them. So in 2013, this was pretty easy because we also had a very useful thing that we could do with our shoving animation. But sadly, in this game, you don't have that anymore. You instantly start out with a melee animation instead, which we can't use really to clip through walls. But the general gist of it is the same. You go into aiming mode. You try to backstep backward, like backstep basically. And then you turn your camera, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, when you're holding your weapon and aiming, the backside of Lara is really weird with collision, and that's what we abuse to get out of bounds.
Yeah, this game is very out of bounds heavy. Like the previous game actually wasn't very out of bounds heavy, but it had a very cool and satisfying like glitch / technique you could do called skywalking. Which allows you to slide along the level boundaries, but don't really, like you're not really going out of bounds. In this game, we have like 1 skywalk left. The rest was replaced by very finicky out of bounds segments, basically, which makes this a very, very different run compared to 2013. And Shadow is mainly a cutscene simulator, so let's not talk about that. Instead, we have glorious part like this where I will hold W again for 30 seconds or so. So this is like perfect to read another donation if you want to.
Blue Bubble Beast donated $50.
Well, thank you very much.
And
No, thank you very much. Yeah, this is spooky, I know. But yeah, once I get out of here, like of this tunnel, I will do this first clip, basically. But this is a pretty special one because usually you're trying to clip through a solid wall or, well, solid, flat wall or a flat door behind you. But in this case, we're trying to kind of clip into a weird contraption that has very uneven collision, which makes this a pretty finicky clip. Another common theme is that I will reload checkpoints because, yeah, you can skip animations and Lara slowly walking into the room and wondering what is happening here. So this is the contraption we want to use. This is me aiming, this is me backstepping, and this is me turning the camera and hoping things happen. This looks surprisingly maybe good. Yes, okay. So now I want to maneuver around this hallway because eventually if I were to go inside the hallway I would get trapped and the hallway would get flooded. So instead I will just swim next to the hallway. So it looks like the water is extending quite a bit further to the right, but it's actually not. So I have to make sure to not stay too close to the left, but also not too far to the right. So here I can go back inbounds eventually, thank you, and make it to the end of this hallway. I have to reload checkpoint after Lara gets up here because I would still be in this kind of restricted movement mode where I couldn't jump or do more advanced movement, and I kind of need that soon. So this is actually not to reset your location or skip some animations. This is purely to regain full control of Lara. Here, if I jump at the correct timing, I get a kind of boosted jump here, which is interesting. And here I will use my melee attack to hopefully slide up this slope and grapple this ledge, which skips a puzzle where we would have to flood continuously flood the room. So we could use a platform or a raft inside of it to get to a higher ledge. You saw me shoot the floor there. There is our traps, but I will only have to do that for the first one. So if I would have triggered that one normally, it would have kind of, yeah, done this effect, but for way longer. So the second one I don't really have to shoot. It doesn't really save much time. And here I will again use these weird jumps I used in the intro to reach this ledge. So the jumping and using the climbing axe allows you to scale these very steep walls. And that brings us to the end of Syria. There will be another escape sequence here. I could take the normal route. It wouldn't lose me too much time, but there is kind of a nifty out of bounds you can do, even though it doesn't really look like an out of bounds because there are platforms and everything there. But the main issue there is kind of a death trigger following me, so if I get stuck, Lara might just suddenly die, which is entertaining, but not in the way I want to. So here I'm now out of bounds. Trust me. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, and now I'm back in bounds. Yep. And now we just run out of the hallway.
Why'd you shoot that one guy?
You actually have to. It's in the tutorial, and this is was actually gun tutorial. So you have to shoot one guy, and then the game assumes you have now full remastered the pistol.
Yes.
Like you cannot shoot him, but because after 5 seconds he just gives up and just puts away the gun again. Yeah. But yeah, obviously we don't want that. And now after Syria, so this was a flashback basically. Now we go back to Siberia, and we'll stay there for the rest of the game.
For some reason, this cutscene also has much lower FPS than the rest of the game. Yeah,
it looks very weird. I mean, yeah. First, a quick detour to Croft Manor, some fisticuffs.
And Jonah.
Well, not quite.
Well,
he looks a bit different. But then again, he looks different in every game, so I understand why we would confuse him. And yeah, now we're back here.
So I'm not sure if you actually mentioned the fastest way to move, the roll jump that you're performing.
That's correct, yeah. So the fast way of moving in most areas is that you jump and, well, so far we only jumped and scrambled kind of. So we scramble and then jump out of it. That is like decently fast and was actually the fastest way of movement in any good Tomb Raider 2013 category that doesn't abuse some weird DLC shenanigans. However, in this game, they placed the skill that allows you to roll after your jumps way early in the skill tree. So we actually can make use of that soon. So here I will build a campfire to progress the story. But we will also get our first skill point, and then I will get the skill that allows me to roll after jump, and that will be the main movement technique that I will use. So that's actually the fast wave movement in every single one of the reboot games. And there are some exceptions, and of course in some cases, for example, I want to move more slowly to not alert enemies and stuff like that, where I will not do that, because it's considered a loud action. But mostly you will see Lara weirdly jump around and roll around, that's correct, yeah. So this is just picking up the stuff I need for the campfire. This is like kind of predetermined, always the same, even though it looks like you loot the tree and the deer here for different resources, it's always the same. There's just a very minor tech here that we can kind of vault over this log here and cancel the stumble animation first by letting go of forward and then pressing it again like that. And then at the end here, Lara would get pushed back by a blizzard. But if we let go of forward and then press it again, so you can see here she gets pushed back, and if I let go and press it again, she just ignores it, which makes sense. And now she's back at her campfire. So there is weirdly some random XP you can or cannot get in the first part of the game. And it turns out it's just enough random XP for you to sometimes not get a skill point here. Okay, I got it now. It's not that big of a deal because you can just stand up and sit back down again, and Lara would gain more experience for some reason. So this is the thing I want, Lightfoot. That's the skill Kat also mentioned. So now I can do this, and even though it looks weird, this is actually the fastest wave movement. It also has the added benefit of if you drop down from like bigger heights, you can roll off and avoid stumbling or staggering at the end. So it has the added benefit. But yeah, mainly we'll use it for main, general movement, and also for some clips, as you might be able to see soon. So Lara's still kind of stranded in Siberia, trying to gather more resources.
Oh no.
But, maybe she has to delay that for a bit. So this is another escape sequence. And there is some deep snow around here. So for example here, that's why I will do a normal jump over it. If you get stuck, the bear immediately catches up to you. And then we give it some pats, and all is good. And this is another one of those games where they really like to have some QTEs in them. Luckily, we skip most of them, but some are still in the route. So this is one of them. First you have to dodge. And even though, like, I don't know, on PC it always looks like you fail the QTEs, like with the icons and the UI, but yeah, for some reason red is good, I don't know. But yeah, so after that fall, Lara now is hurt. You will see that she will not have her like normal movement speed and everything. You can't jump, but that's about to be rectified. So this game introduced, like, in 2013 it was kind of a bit introduced, so like an RPG system where you can loot stuff and craft your own weapons. But this game like actually expanded on that, and so you have like healing resources you can gather, like these red berries you can see on the side there, which I skillfully avoid, because you actually automatically get some berries if you loot that crate up there, which has the cloth that we also need. So for healing bandages you need cloth and red berries, but if you loot this chest or crate, you get both, as you can see on the right side. So I got one free berry, which is why we ignore the berry bushes earlier. And we want to get down there where Lara's looking at, but we're not there, which is a problem. And there is a bear in the way that we just ran away from. But in this category, we don't care about that. The bear gets to live. In Glitchless, it would not get to live. So this is clearly the superior category, because what we can do instead, hopefully, is do this. And then jump over here and back onto this rock. Get some interesting level loads. Go inside here, and this is where we would get out if we would have taken the long route, including killing the bear, which we didn't do. And then we get out here and skipped all of that.
Yeah, what you were able to see there's the same technique used for clipping, but depending on what you do it against. So this was like a solid rock. You just go up instead of through. And in some other parts you go like half and half. So we'll see that later.
Yeah. And this is out of bounds. So this one is not very well hidden. You can just like jump on the rock there to the left, and you're out of bounds. So we're bypassing quite a significant part here to the right, where you're supposed to stealth, but I think even in the categories that don't skip this, you just run through. I would like to jump off. Please let me in. Thank you. Collision makes sense. Yeah, so once we get through this hole here, we will pick up another weapon. The pistol that we had earlier. Well, not the same one, but same weapon type. And in the next room, there are 2 enemies that we don't want to alert, so we alert them. And then we use our roll to hopefully clip through this door, which is what I mentioned earlier. That roll also has some very, very good clipping properties, which we have used quite liberally in this run. So, for example, here's the next one. We're currently trapped, except that we hopefully aren't too much longer. Please roll. Thank you. And now we're no longer trapped. The game even called this stealthy, which I fully agree with, yes. And here is another checkpoint reset.
Yeah, this is why in 2013 the DLC with the roll is a completely separate category, because it's not just a faster way of moving, but it can allow you to do certain skips that the non-DLC category cannot do in the early game.
Yeah, in 2013 it's like 7 skill points deep into the skill tree, so there's no chance in any %, for example, to get to it. Also, don't question any of this. But yeah, in Rise and Shadow they put it right at the start of the skill tree, which obviously helps tremendously. We're out of bounds, by the way. You may have heard kind of Lara groaning there, which usually is her death sound, but clearly she isn't. Interesting triggers. Also, luckily, all of this has some kind of collision. I wouldn't call it good collision, but good enough for us to cross that river. And now we have to make our way kind of back inbounds. So another good technique is using the 2 swings of the melee attack, because you don't slide down of slippery slopes in the meantime. So that gives us just enough distance to cover that slope. And now we have this gate in our way, but you might know what we do to get rid of that, exactly. And now we just get to the end of this part. You will see some stuff popping in. Obviously we're not quite supposed to be here. The game will realize that soon enough and be gracious enough to load the correct stuff for us to proceed into the next level. So now we're about to be captured again, even though we won't get to see it. But don't be surprised, Lara just wakes up here in the prison. And we will make our way out by first ripping off this pipe.
What do you know about them?
Also, there's an NPC talking behind us, so Lara's not talking to herself for once. He's a pretty important character to the plot that I totally actually don't know, because I only really speedrun this. But yeah, he's Jacob. He will accompany us at times, and he's kind of like the main companion for Lara in this game. Jonah plays a bit of a smaller role.
Thankfully.
Jonas, he's more of a damsel in distress actually than her actual companion. But yeah, we lost our weapons. We got the bow back, which is good, because you're supposed to follow Jacob out of this prison, and he walks very slowly, talks a lot. What we can do instead, hopefully, is clip up this ceiling. Yes, and just do none of that. But here, so we are still in this. We're supposed to follow Jacob, so we're in a restricted movement state. So again, we reset the checkpoint. We loot. There was a bundle of wood here, which can either give you 1 or 2 wood. It gave me 1 wood, which is suboptimal, because now we'll need to loot another bundle of wood, since I need 2 wood and 1 feather to craft arrows. And this is another clip, but there are like 2 doors back to back here, so I need to slowly turn and change directions after the first clip. Clearly I'm out of bounds here, and making my way to the end of this segment. So if I were to go left here, I would get a pretty helpful crafting recipe, I guess, whatever you want to call it. It would allow me to graft grenades out of tin cans, don't question it. We will not get that. It would make the final boss fight significantly easier, but it's also a bit slower, like in the grand scheme of things, assuming the final boss goes well, which is a bold thing to assume, but we should be able to manage. Here I clip through the gate, even though it looked open. If you just walk through it normally, you will trigger a fight here, which is not good. And here we will clip through this part of the fence to bypass this, and then the FPS always drops to interesting level.
What happened here?
And yeah, now the only thing left is pretty much there is the bundle of wood I mentioned earlier. So here to the right. This is the backup bundle. Yeah, of course, this one gives me 2. Very, very kind game. Thank you. That's Jacob, the person who's just starting now. Yes, that's our companion.
He's got moves.
Yeah, and
So
there
that
he
was
is.
Neo, dude.
And now he's jogging along with us. And now he's gone again because Lara's taking a dive. And this again consists just of me holding forward and sprint this time, so she swims faster. There's not much else to it. So I think we have some donations.
Ollie.jpg donated $25. Passport sound, good luck with the Raider of Tombs.
Thank you, Ollie.
Izzy donated $5. Good luck to my favorite Germanistic student. I hope Dwayne Johnson is doing fine less than 3.
Classic memes. Very good. I appreciate. Thank you, both of you.
Joy donated $20. I'm proud of you, Bunnyman. Much love.
Oh boy. Yeah, if you want to see bad Tomb Raider speedruns, but good bunnies on stream, you can follow me on Twitter. I mean, what? Yeah, so we made it out alive, out of freezing water, for like, which we were in for a half a minute or so. But it's fine, we will just jog it off. By necessity. So there are like some pretty sketchy movement you can do to like squeeze out a second or two by constantly jump rolling here, but jump rolling can also kind of be detrimental depending on like some very small collision on the floor, so I will kind of do a hybrid in between the two. I will jump roll where I know it's somewhat safe.
Yeah, because the game levels collision basically updates according to where Lara is, and it's expecting you to be a little bit further back, but if you're doing the extra jumps and basically getting ahead of what the game expects, the collision might not exactly line up to where it would be easy to just get through the section.
That's that. So back into the water we go.
I wanted to ask one question. Basically, I see you clipping through objects through walls with 2 different methods. Which method works is based on the width of the wall that we're rolling through? Yeah, the thickness, yeah. Okay, so for thin walls, rolling can be enough, and for thicker ones, we use the backstep strats.
Pretty much, yes. So we now got rescued by Jacob again, because of course. And we will make our way over to a part where we're not quite supposed to be at yet. But we also can't quite get there yet, unless we do the one thing that makes the 2013 run fantastic, and that was a lot more prominent in this run, but then it got replaced by a lot of these out-of-bounds segments that you have already seen and will see more of. As I said earlier, I'm talking about the skywalk, and I think Robbie is an expert when it comes to skywalks.
Yeah, so what you will see Caddy do here is climb up and then jump down to a slope where Lara will slide down, then pivot Lara, and that will create this skywalk state, like...
Well, not quite like that.
Almost there.
Not like that.
Yes.
We'll do that again. So you climb up. Yeah, after you pivot, you just get a different set of controls, kind of, and you can... Instead of sliding down, you no longer move, and you can use the controls to go up instead. You have some, with controlling the camera and then strafing, stuff like that, you can get some pretty high speeds in 2013. Here it's a bit less, but you can still use it to go up.
There you go, that's the skywalking state.
Yes. You can see it's like kind of holding diagonally. That was pretty fast. Just slide up, and there you go. Beautiful.
Yeah. And that allows us to get broadhead arrows early. So these are like supposed to be kind of late game-ish items that allow you to shoot arrows into walls and then jump off them. But now we get them early, which allows us to do quite a few things out of order. Here we equip a weapon that we don't have. Lara's just air shooting. Yeah, so that's kind of an area of contention. So this game allows the use of one specific DLC, because it contains that one pistol we just equipped. When I did the skip earlier, where I clipped through the ceiling with my bow, that also means I
In the prison.
Exactly. That also means I skipped picking up the pistol again, and without the pistol we can't really finish the game. So the rules allow you to enable that one DLC, so you can equip that pistol at that campfire and continue to run. It saves like 40 seconds or something, so that's neat.
Pay to win.
Yes. Here I line up, because I am out of bounds pretty clearly. I want to trigger the next area, but I want to stay out of bounds. Okay, so I needed that pop-up there. So since I got the abandoned mines text, I know I load the next area. But I want to stay out of bounds, obviously, for reasons you can see right here, or you can't see because the collision and the textures aren't very helpful, I guess. But
a lot of these sections you just want to walk like right beside the path you normally walk,
which is totally not like threatening the integrity of the run. And these guys just die when you touch them. That makes sense. Yes. Tag, you're it. And yeah, so that's the next escape sequence. In the next room, I will try to jump up to a ledge on my left, but off the box that I jump off of, you're usually just out of reach. We can make it there by doing a scramble first, and then immediately jumping out of it, but it's somewhat finicky, except for when you get it first try. That obviously helps.
Yeah, that didn't look precise at all, but that's because Kari made it so. It is not an easy trick to do. And this is another small glitch that we'll be abusing a couple of times during the run. So Kari's going to use a melee attack. He explained this to me right before the run, so I had something to say as well. But he starts doing a melee attack, and then he has aiming bound to his scroll wheel, and he scrolls once at a pretty specific timing. Almost.
Oh, that's not where I want to go. What? Ignore that.
Yeah, so he does a melee attack, then he uses one scroll to aim and essentially interrupt it for a brief period, and then Lara gets stuck in the melee attack animation and can kind of slide off the platform, and instead of immediately losing height, she kind of maintains it for a little bit longer. And out of that state, you can also jump, effectively getting a double jump. So Kari uses it to get past the box that's in the way here. So he's going to line himself up after getting the knife here.
This should come in handy.
I shoot an arrow here to alert one of the guys and walk away, so he doesn't
there's
see
the
me.
melee.
And I failed it again.
Yeah, it's not easy. Now she's stuck, and you get a jump out of it midair like that. And here's another pretty precise jump where he needs to get on this railing and then abuse the game's mechanics, where the game basically, if you get close to a ledge, it will suck you up to it like that.
And here we probably get spotted. Yeah, but that's fine. I just got a checkpoint in the lower right corner. You can see the icon, so that's good enough. Made it past that part, even though with a hiccup. And now we make our way further into the mines. There will be another clip up part soon. First I have to take care of this guy. So unalerted enemies are usually one-shot unless they're armored, of course, which is good. And then I will try to clip up here. Yes, okay. And go back here. I will grab this zip line here just because it gives a checkpoint, but I want to do another melee slide.
Yeah, this one is quite precise as well in terms of the jump timing. The previous one was pretty easy in that regard because the distance wasn't that great, but here we need to jump and land on that ledge there, and I think that's clap-worthy because that is actually quite precise indeed.
Yeah, that allowed us to skip, like, if you were to just take the zip line, you would, like, slide down and then had to climb that crane there on the right you may have seen shortly, and you will see soon enough again. And now we just push this cart a certain number of steps, hopefully, and then it hopefully won't go back. Sometimes it does that, but it looks stable. Yeah, this crane we just skipped, and now we just solve this very difficult puzzle. You will see me leave this cart soon, as soon as, like, I pushed up this bucket all the way. There is a crate behind me that I can still loot in time, hopefully before the cutscene starts. Yes, and this had crafting materials, which allows me to craft another set of arrows. And as you can clearly see, we just broke open that gate, so that's where we headed next.
This looks safe.
Yeah, all good. This is also very doable, yes.
Lara has no chill.
And as you can see, the gate is definitely opened. Unless it isn't. but it is, so then it's
Is that Eraser's door from GBA?
Alright, so we're kind of out of the mines. There's just one last clip we have to do. It's just so it turns out to be one of the least consistent ones. It's another one of those where I have to just backstep and hope it works. Sometimes this setup works first try, like this time, and then it's just the best setup there is, and other times it doesn't work and it's the worst setup there is. But yeah, we're now making our way to the next campfire. So the level will at some point start properly loading, because we're not quite hitting all the triggers, but we also don't want to. So we want to bypass a barrier kind of that is in our way. And by not hitting the correct loading trigger, we can just walk past that. So you can see it's getting more and more ominous here. Yeah, sometimes Laura's here and sometimes she's not. But luckily at the end of this, there is a campfire we can sit down at, which obviously gives us a checkpoint, and we can reload the game. Just finding it to the left, so you will see the light here soon. Yeah, then there's the campfire. We sit down, we stand back up, we reload checkpoint, and we're past the barrier. So we'll come back to this campfire again soon. But this kind of also was a pretty significant sequence break. So 2 hours left there from the campfire. Is basically the next area, but we can't get there yet because the story hasn't progressed far enough. So we kind of need to make the story catch up. So we have to go back inside the, not really dungeon, but the area we should have come from. So this is kind of the exit of that area. We will now go back inside the flooded archives, do the main puzzle there, and then make our way again, like backtrack to here. And yeah, it's a whole mess. So we want to get out of bounds here because we don't have the upgrade that allows us to breathe for longer underwater. So we squeeze ourselves through that gap there. And obviously for swimming you don't really have an air meter or anything like that. But yeah, to the right there is like a huge like underground lake that we would have to dive underneath, and it takes way too long for us to survive. There is kind of a way around it, but it's way slower than just taking the scenic route here. And we hope to go back inbounds here at the end, or start depending on the perspective.
Yeah, Caddy talks a lot about routing. That's also because it needs to be mentioned that this game is kind of not necessarily open world the entire time, but it does loop around quite a lot. Like you do revisit the same area several times as the playthrough goes on. And that's why, for example, we are able to like get to this area where we don't have the necessary upgrades to get through, but Caddy obviously does have the cheats, glitches to get through otherwise.
Yeah, you also saw me there using the broadhead arrows that I got earlier after the skywalk, so the thing I can stand on arrows and jump off them. That's one of the applications where that comes in really handy. We are making our way back inside the main hall here in the flooded archives, so there's just this gate in the way. Oops. Okay, so now this area has a big statue in the middle, and you need to kind of destroy it because of reasons. And to do that we need these explosive barrels, which the Byzantine Empire obviously prepared for us. That's how it works. So I will need to destroy these 3 pillars here by having exploding barrels right next to them and then blowing them up. So I should get an XP pop up there, yeah. So that means the first barrel will be fine. It will like swim into the correct location by itself. I will make my way over to the second one. So this one can be quite trolly, so you need 2 barrels for this and this contraption here in the middle to swing around. And yeah, this is not a good lineup. Like these barrels can go into places you definitely don't want to. What you kind of want is for them to be right behind one another, so they push themselves off this ledge when I yank on this side. But yeah, now there's no way this will work, so I need to kick this one off by myself. Yes.
New tech.
Sure. Okay, and then this one I can cut off. I could cut off if I would get a cut animation under the melee animation, and then I want to shoot the barrel that is there from the start. In the meantime, I can, in the cutscene, push this barrel into the water, and so it can swim into the correct position while this first cutscene is going on. Over here, shoot this, pick up the ammo cache that is in front of me, it gives me more pistol ammo. And then I will make my way over to a campfire. And at that campfire, I will blow up the third barrel. And then during the cutscene, there will be some glitchy things happening. I will sit down at the campfire during the cutscene and maneuver through the campfire menu, hopefully. If I bound the keys correctly, that is. That looks okay. That sounds okay. That looks okay. So now the screen will fade to black. You may hear Lara die soon because she gets impaled by a few arrows. That's good. Yeah.
Sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, sounds just like I wanted to. There we go. So now I will get a loading screen. I will be back at the campfire I just was at. I will sit down to get some skills. I have 4 skill points. So at first I will get faster crafting and explosive not arrows. Like you can craft explosive now out of gasoline tanks pretty much.
Bombs, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I also upgraded my defense. But now as soon as I stand up, I activate the fast travel that I was kind of selecting during the statue cutscene. So that actually now brings me back to the campfire we got to earlier after the big skip where half of the game wasn't loading. So that prevents us from, or basically circumvents the backtracking part, except now we have to again backtrack from this side to hit a story trigger. But yeah, we just hop back over to the exit of the flooded archives and then make our way back here. But as you might see, this ledge is significantly higher than this one down here, so there is no good way to get back up here except for some stuff we can do. So as soon as I get here the XP and the pop-up in the middle, I know I hit the trigger. Now I need to get back up to this ledge. Hopefully this tree cooperates. Of course, makes sense. And yeah, now once we get back to the campfire, we should meet our friend Jonah.
No.
Don't say that.
Just don't look.
He's not here if you don't.
We are exactly 40 minutes in, just like with Muramasa.
Yes, I don't get it. Yeah, so now cutscene and things happening, and Jonah is gone again. Good, maybe?
Was he under the thing that fell?
Well, kind of. So he kind of dies now. But luckily, like Jacob, who's our companion, he's basically Jesus. Like he's like immortal and has like powers and stuff.
Luckily? I don't know if luckily.
I mean, it allows us to finish the game, so that's at least one upside. And yeah, so now it's kind of a big rescue Jonah operation. I don't know why you would do that, but each one their own. So we will now make our way up to the research base, and that's basically just a lot of basic movement, not too much to explain. So in the meantime, we can have some donations.
I know the spot. We hit a stash of weapons near where we first.
Leamy donated $20. Good luck, Caddy. I may have slightly lost track of time. 7tech7 donated $5.69. Dude, leave my GBA's door alone. Also, good luck, Caddy, I guess. Launch Neon Drive's Miami music in insane mode while leaving.
Thank you to both of you. Yeah, Leamy is like the actual expert in this game. Sadly, he couldn't make it to commentary. I'm not sure if he's somewhere in the room right now.
Are saying we are not experts.
Even more expert is what I meant to say. Did I not say that? Sorry. Yeah, and the Neon Drive, I think Robbie can explain better. I don't know what.
Yeah, so there's the game Neon Drive, where you avoid stuff with your car to music, and it has a very cool song.
That's all you need to know. And yeah, actually perfect timing, so we made it into the next part, and this is where we have a very, very, very big out of bounds part. That is very, very not scary. And very, very, with very, very visible collision and textures. So first of all, I will toggle my weapons to make my way into this corner on top of the ceiling, but as you can see, my camera doesn't quite match up with what is happening. So I need to realign the camera with Lara's body. Robbie, does that tell you anything?
Yeah, so this is the half clip I mentioned. It splits the camera from Lara's body, and because there's not enough space for them to merge again. So that's why Caddy, as soon as he went to the space where there was like a lot of light and a lot of space, there was enough room for the camera to merge with the body again. And that's where you gain full control again. Normally, if you're in that glitched state, you cannot jump, otherwise you'll fall down. And I think jumping is pretty useful.
Well, let me
Truly
show you
an
that
expert take, I must say.
Yeah, that's what I meant earlier.
Are you saying it's not useful?
Well, I think you can see that it is kind of useful. If you can see anything, that is the main issue here. But yeah, we're somewhat out of bounds, I think. We're skipping a lot of things, I think. If I could not fall down into things I don't want to. Yeah, I had to hit the low trigger there, which is why I took a slight detour. But yeah, this is a very finicky out of bounds. If I mess up at any point here, I go all the way back to the cave, basically. Especially this part can be quite scary, but we made it around that tree just fine.
Yeah, all of these rocks, like they look like a huge surface to run on, but they're quite slippery. Not just because there's the snow there, but because the collision really is just kind of like in an A shape, like a roof. So Caddy's trying to walk like on top of those A-shaped roofs, if that makes sense. So going too far left, going too far right is gonna mean either sliding completely out of bounds and not being on collision anymore, or just sliding back in bounds instead. So
Yeah, luckily, I turned up the brightness to maximum on this monitor before this run.
yeah, this is kind of like my Dust 2 experience, rushing B.
All right, so I'm not allowed to really jump here. There are a lot of death planes, and you don't want to really jump down through them because that is lethal. So that's why I ran through them. Makes perfect sense. We want to make our way across this roof. Luckily, it has just the correct amount of collision for us to make it through. And then back here, there is a trigger for the next part, which has the adoring name Terrible Fight, because it is a terrible fight. We are seriously under-equipped, but luckily we got the ability to craft explosives earlier.
Yes, and luckily they throw in the smoke that then backfires against them.
Yes, so here there is a gasoline tank or canister. I will use it to craft bombs because that's how that works. Oh my god, what is this? I got 2, that's not good. Yeah, so I might have to restart this fight. Yeah, because this guy's not weakened at all, I think. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you kind of depend on how they group up, or, well, in this case, not group up, how well this fight goes. But it's okay, at least we got the checkpoint right at the start here. So the idea is to hit them with the crafted explosive, like the group on the left, and then there is another canister already standing there. You can just shoot at to. I forgot to use survival instinct, so I couldn't see it. Next try. Maybe, I don't know. 2. Okay, at least I killed 3. That's better. And now I can blow this up for 1 and 2. Okay. Well, it worked, I guess.
We take those.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the first time you saw that, the pistol was basically doing almost no damage if the explosives didn't prepare them beforehand.
Exactly. They're all armored enemies, so yeah, without proper, yeah.
Rip Jonah.
Could you have bought a better weapon in the DLC?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, yeah.
Just buy a machine gun or something.
Is this a Ubisoft game?
It looks so much better on stream than on anyways.
Well, you did this.
I had to see early in the mines, it's super dark, and then here you have basically a white screen. It's great. Yeah, this was Jonah. And this is the orrery now, so this has a pretty big skip as well. You might be able to somewhat tell soon that we're not quite where we're supposed to be. I'm not sure if you can tell We do another melee slide here, and we try to hit the trigger for the next area while staying on top of this collision, which we did. That's good. And then it's a lot of chicanery. So there is collision here that you can't see. Don't worry about that. There is collision that you can see but doesn't really exist. Don't worry about that either. We can go underneath here and jump around over here. This water doesn't extend again all the way as it looks it would. There should be some water to push us up here. Then we can go through this collision or these textures. drop onto this ledge.
Yeah, this part is pretty precise now.
This, and then we jump around this corner and across and hope the level loads, which it did, and then we skipped things, I guess.
That was really clean. Yeah, like, this is, again, you would think Tomb Raider, you know, it's a platformer in a sense, but the platforming in these reboots isn't actually, it doesn't give you as much control as you would expect, as the classics perhaps may do, because a lot of these sections are basically set pieces, right? Where the developers are kind of holding your hand and guiding you through the game.
So here we can jump over this railing, because we didn't grab the ledge, we just jumped off our arrow. And now I want to hit the checkpoint that is like kind of on the other side of this wall, because it will give me the grappling hook, but I want to stay out of bounds, and well, if I jump too far, I would die though, and I want to avoid that, so I kind of take this a bit more cautiously here. And also don't mind the Greek shouting in the background. Okay, nice. So you can see I got the XP, that means I hit that at least, but I didn't get any checkpoints, so I could still mess this up royally. Well, almost speaking of. Here I want to, oh my god, I should see something here, but I don't. Okay, maybe I clip further up, maybe I don't, I did not, that's okay. So I want to kind of swing around here, and now I should kind of zip up eventually. Or not, and then we try, what is happening?
This is a perfect showcase of how finicky these clips can be, where you're basically relying on the game's engine sort of pushing you in a specific direction like that, yeah.
That made sense. And now we go back inbounds.
So yeah, even if you make setups and you try to stick to them, sometimes it will just be so precise that it becomes kind of difficult to control.
Yeah, in the classic Tomb Raiders, like your movement and everything was very predetermined. Like whenever you would jump the exact same distance and whatnot, and you would have like preset directions you could go in. These are very quote-unquote freestyle games, so you can't really use setups as much or as precise as in other games. Here I want to clip myself through the wall, which I can't because things... Okay, that looks better. This guy has his own problems, so I will leave him.
He's so Jonah.
Yeah, so there is luckily a lot of like things here that have very good collision for us. In some cases it just works out perfectly, which is obviously very lucky for us. For example, like this huge bridge. We are not supposed to be up here, but everything has collision, which is perfect. And I will do another melee slide here at the end, which is what Kate also explained earlier. One thing the melee slide does, it actually also negates all fall damage, which we actually don't really use. We mainly want it for the mid-air jump. That's not how you melee. That's how you melee slide. And then somewhere here I want to jump out of it to land on this small ledge, make it across this, and like just stay to the left of this whole area here. Now there can be a meme here at the end where you soft lock, but obviously that would never happen in a marathon run. That's definitely not why I mentioned it just now. So when I grab this ledge here, things will work as intended. See, it's all good.
Yeah, perfect.
My heart, I can't take this much. Getting old. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so that was a grappling hook that we needed. Or else you would just like die here. You couldn't make it across. But the grappling hook will also come in very handy very soon for something else. But first we must make our way to the divine source. So that's kind of the thing this whole game revolves around, the source of immortality. And we kind of want to destroy it, and other peoples don't want it to be destroyed, so conflict arises. And yeah, our goal is to kind of get to the top of those domes, which is quite far away from where we are located right now. So that's the goal.
Yeah, one thing that you might be asking yourself if you're not that familiar with speedruns is like, why do all of these areas that are out of bounds have collision? And that's because in game development, oftentimes assets will be developed with without being exactly sure where they're going to be used. So they just develop them with the collision intact, and then they place them around the map. And as they finalize the levels, this is sort of what we can end up with, where we can get out of bounds and actually just jump around. Not every game is going to have it like that. You know, some games are going to have one-sided collision where maybe you can not get out and if you do get out, you clip back in. But as you can see, that is not the case in the game.
Yeah, so we're out of bounds again. You might be able to tell better soon. So this is kind of the final big out of bounds-ish. Don't mind this wall.
Just as I speak about collision.
Lara clearly didn't mind that water.
Don't mind this water either. It's okay. Just hold your breath, I guess. So the issue is I don't get any checkpoint. And the last checkpoint was like on those rooftops I ziplined across. And surely there will not be a death trigger right at the end of the skip that I could easily trigger, which would send me all the way back. So here on this slope, yeah, exactly that can happen. But it wouldn't, so that's all good.
Nice.
So yeah, sitting down at the campfire again loads the rest of the level correctly. I will use my broadhead arrows to get to the next part. And there I will perform luckily the only, or I hope to perform luckily the only airwalk in this run. Which basically involves me jumping at an angle to this ledge and then throwing my grappling hook, hoping to hit the ledge with it at the same time that Lara lands. So at 100 FPS, which is what we run this game at, this can take a while. We have kind of a visual cue to tell when it works. Looking at the... I don't think that worked. Looking at the angle the axe comes back. And
nice.
yeah, so then this allows us... This allows us to now take the truly scenic route. So you saw the thing I wanted to get earlier. It was quite far away and quite high up, so we also need to gain quite a bit of height. So in this airwalking state, I would still lose height if I were to like just try and sprint like this normally. So when you see me like later on, I will just constantly roll to not lose any height. But this allows me, yeah, to if I were to jump, which I usually would want to move faster, I would lose my airwalking state, which is why Lara's doing this very weird sprinting animation. Yeah, now I'm toggling weapons to climb up walls backwards, basically. Luckily, this all still has collision.
Yeah, this is something that Caddy's done a couple of times throughout the run already, where steeper walls can not really be climbed that easily by just, you know, backstepping into them and trying to shimmy up them. So the animation swapping can help, yeah. Or weapon swapping.
And this is the peak. So now we'll just aim to the right of this big dome, and you can see the camera kind of zooming in and out, but you can't see Lara. But soon you will see Lara, and then you know what's happening.
She's rolling.
What?
I can see what button you're pressing.
It's kind of cheating.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I were to like not roll, Lara would like steadily lose height, which obviously I want to prevent, because it just turns out that by rolling all the way to what you can kind of make out to the right of this dome, there are some bits and pieces you can see. There is a campfire on that soon-to-be bridge that I again can sit down on and load the rest of the level. And while I do that, we have time for some final donations, because after that it's the final boss battle.
Jumping donated $5. Thank you for your kind words, Epic Dude Guy. We would like to talk with you about a potential partnership.
Wait, for what?
Kaiser_Aphelion donated $25. Limi had train problems. Also have fun on the stream. No clip your way to victory.
I will try my very best. I assume that was
Super Donation 7 donated $5. Don't forget that tomorrow, we can say happy birthday to Caddy on Twitter and on site at ESA. Thank you for this amazing Let's Play. It was nice, but what was the story again? Because I didn't saw the Elder Dragon, yours truly, Super Player.
Oh my god, how, like, this is so bright on my screen. I couldn't even line up my shot correctly. Anyways, so yeah, final boss battle has multiple phases. We have explosive arrows that basically infinitely respawn behind us, which is good. As long as we don't directly look at them, it makes sense. So we kind of just camp this one corner, hoping to kill as many enemies as possible, because with our normal weapons, we wouldn't be able to do pretty much anything here, at least not speedily. A lot of these enemies are are they called the Deathless? Or is that
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. At least someone knows the lore a bit.
I read the subtitles yesterday.
Fair enough. Okay, there's one guy here. I think maybe if I jump down here, it's enough to trigger the next part.
Yeah, we need to kill a certain amount of enemies to get to the second stage.
Yes. So the second stage will be a helicopter-only part again. He has kind of two patterns he can do, one good one and one bad one. I wonder which one he will choose. But first I will want to make sure I pick up these explosive arrows. Okay, I want to get capped, so you can have 2 explosive arrows at most. I will hide behind this wall and see what the helicopter does. Good one, okay. So now we just wait until he shoots the rocket and mash E or mash interact, so our allies shoot their trebuchet thing as soon as possible. I can totally see my reticle. Like, I can't see my reticle. Where's my reticle?
Yeah, the contrast is actually insane.
No. Yeah, this might take a few tries, and surely he will do the good pattern again, right? Oh no, this is the bad pattern. Yeah, luckily we still have some time. I don't even know where he is right now. Where is he? Where is he?
Behind.
Yeah, but let's go. Surely this will hit, right?
Yes.
But it didn't hit, so we have to try again.
Oh,
so it must be somewhat close to the guy, but I can't. Fun. Yeah, I'm trying to hide. Okay, bad pattern again. Surely this time it will be better. Okay. So sometimes the trebuchet will hit the wall and will just by that hit the helicopter. Okay, it did not very clearly. Okay, so it did the bad one 2 times, so now he will do the good one again, I'm sure. And this time I will see my reticle. It's right there.
Well, in the middle of the screen,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
Well,
yes.
never mind then, I guess.
Anyone have some tape?
I can point if...
I don't think it will work. Oh my god. Oh, this worked. Let's
go.
Alright, so third phase basically the same as the first phase. Just camp and hope things work out.
Yeah, the main thing here is to, as we said, just kill as many enemies as possible before they get too close, because then we cannot camp the corner anymore.
Where is he running? Okay, maybe, maybe not. I also want to make sure to have as many explosive arrows for the next phase as possible. Okay, that's enough. So fourth phase, a helicopter again. There is a fast strat to do this, but it is not very fun and not very safe. So I will do the bit more reliable, not so fast strat, which loses like a few seconds. Actually, did I reload too early? Maybe don't talk. Oh no. It's okay. Just want to show how fun this is.
No, this is definitely something that's very often understated, is that it becomes very difficult to narrate your gameplay if that's something you're not used to, which outside of marathon settings generally doesn't happen that often, and play at your best at the same time. Especially when the contrast on your monitor is set to 175% or something.
Please? No? Oh. Okay, I have only one arrow this time, but that should be fine. If I don't reload too early again. All right.
Waited extra time.
So he takes 5 explosive arrows. That's one. Luckily, there's another one here, but he might just shred us to death with his Gatling turrets. So that's 3. If you could pick up these arrows, that would help. And then as he's dying, I want to pick up some more, because now we go into the second to last phase, where we're now inside this building. I can shoot these guys with 2 explosive arrows, which either kills 2 or 3. Okay, it killed all 3 of them. That's good. Now I want to lure this guy underneath this Greek fire here, because that one-shots him as soon as I shoot it. That's good. Now more guys will spawn over here. eventually. This guy we can kind of take out while he's dropping down. I'll try to lure them at least over here again. Yes, okay.
Yeah,
That's this phase.
yeah, you can tell how many kills are happening on the left side of the screen. It shows up basically like a bonus text.
And this is the final phase. So when I said earlier we could have...
Nice aim. Maybe his reticle is also messed up.
Maybe he's also playing on max contrast. Yeah. At least it's fair then. Yeah, so this is where I could have used the grenades if I learned how to craft them, but I didn't. So now I have to backstab him twice. The first one is pretty free. The second one relies on him turning around after we throw an empty tin can behind him. And also him not staggering us infinitely into this fire. I don't think he turned around. Yeah, that's too bad. And sadly, you have to like do the entire phase again, like even the first part. But yeah, as I said, this one is pretty consistent. Because in this one, he's not very observant. He loses track of you as soon as you like turn left here. And the second one, he's like, sometimes there's no way to avoid him.
Notice that the bow is gone as well.
Okay, next try. I did not mean to move forward there, but surely now he will not. Yeah, he actually turned around.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So just
And
one
the bow
final
is back.
TP. Yeah, of course, because now we will have to take it back. But it's very kind of him that he found it again. Yeah, so that was Constantine. He has some relevancy to this plot, I think.
His purpose lay in the Chamber of Souls.
True, that's what he said. Yeah, so you can either like choose to kill him or not. If you just walk away, Lara will like first of all slowly walk away, and then he will die by the building collapsing on him. So it's way slower. And time is as soon as we go through this door, which should be in a few seconds. Now, ish. Yes. That was a run, I guess.
No, that was that was really good, except for the final fight. Like everything else was really nice.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was
thanks for extending it.
yeah, I had to fill time, right? No, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for keeping commentary together. And yeah, thanks a lot for having Rise at least on stream too. That was a lot of fun. It's a cool game to learn. It has a lot of interesting skips and glitches. Just don't make the wrong decision and start to grind this game. It can do things to you, like you can see with me. So yeah, that's it for me from this marathon. Thank you, Robbie and Kata, for the support.
Yeah, the resident expert.
Yes, for the much needed support, especially during the final fight. And yeah, keep enjoying the rest of the marathon.